I recently signed a new client for my agency Gold. $50,000 for the first project, 49.5 to be exact, for the first version of their mobile app, with potential for much more down the line. This is the second time in the past few months when client comes to us already having a team, already tried to build the product and having some sort of a working product. And we're still redoing everything from scratch. These deals made one distinction much clearer to me between those who earn well and charge premium and those who are stuck. And this applies far beyond entrepreneurship. It works exactly the same in a career. This video has 3 parts. First, the context of the deal and why the previous team has failed. Second, the principle behind it and why it determines how much you can earn. And the third, how to apply this to yourself no matter what you do. Let's start with the context, and forgive me for not sharing as much detail as I would, because the project is still ongoing and I'm not able to disclose everything, but I'll share what I can. The client is a business in its classic form with physical locations. The app is not the business itself, it's an extension of the business, an extension of the user experience for the clients of the business. However, the app is essential for the client to achieve their grand vision for this business. So that means the client is non-technical and is not an expert in mobile apps or anything IT related, and the app is essential to their business. So how it went before they found us: they came up with some sort of requirements they thought they need implemented in the app. They found a team, the team implemented those requirements, they've done the coding, done the screens, and gave them a working app. Technically, the job is done. The client got what they paid for, and the team was much cheaper than we were. But the app doesn't really do what the business needs, and it's not implemented on a level of attention to detail and overall quality that that business needs, because every single aspect of this client's business is perfect. They are obsessed with the business, and it's a pleasure to work with people like this who are obsessed with what they're doing, obsessed over quality. And the app was not on par with that. However, it was working and it was a finished, some sort of a finished product. It happened partly because of lack of expertise and attention to details and quality of the first team, but mostly because they didn't understand the business they're working for. They received a brief from a client and they executed on that brief. When we came in, we didn't start with what the app should look like, or start with the coding, or start with designing. On the first meeting with the client, which lasted for almost 3 hours, we spent the entire 3 hours talking about the client's business and the client's vision on what they want to achieve, and not about how buttons should look like or work in the app. Exactly 0 minutes of this first 3 hours, the first meeting, was spent on talking about implementation details or the app itself. The meeting was entirely focused on understanding the client's business and understanding the problems they're facing and how our services can enhance their business, can help them reach their grand vision and its grand. And I assume you already spotted the difference. Difference is output versus outcome. Output is what you did or your team did. The code, the design, content, anything. The direct output of your work, direct result of your work. Outcome is what it achieved, how it changed the client's business, how it affected customers of your client's business, how it affected their revenue, how it affected their life, their operations. This is the outcome. And as you probably already understood, the previous team sold output and we sell outcome. Output is a commodity, especially in today's world. There are thousands or tens of thousands, maybe more, of players on the market who can do exactly the same, who can do an app, who can write the code, who can do pretty much any kind of service. And now, in the current day and age, with AI, output is cheap. You cannot compete on pricing if you are selling output. You cannot compete with a tool that costs $19 a month. And even before AI, output cannot cost much because it doesn't provide any value itself. The value is in the outcome. deeply understanding the client's business, how your services can enhance that business, how your services can essentially make them more money, how your services can help them achieve their vision, how your services can benefit their clients, their customers, their business. To properly articulate and sell that, it's an entirely different story and it commands entirely different money. Now let's dive a bit deeper into the pricing and answer the question, but the other team is cheaper. The thing is, on that level, for the clients we work with, our pricing, our fees are what they can make or what they make in a few days. This is not a deal breaker. This is not a deciding factor for them. Price at this level doesn't matter as much. Of course, everyone would love to pay less and get more, but it's not the deciding factor. Their primary objective is not saving money, but achieving the best possible outcome, or at least enhancing the odds of achieving the best possible outcome. So yes, the previous team was cheaper, but the client ended up paying much more. Firstly, in the time lost in the process. Secondly, literally paying more for their services and then paying for our services after to redo the whole thing. Cheaper turned out more expensive for that business. And remember what I told you in the beginning, the app is essential for this business goals to achieve their vision. And when stakes are that high, people don't just optimize for the price, they optimize for probability of the outcome. All of this may sound obvious. And if it's that simple, why most of the people still sell output? Short answer, because it's easier and more comfortable. Clear scope, clear price, no need to dig deep into the client's business. You just get a task, do the task and get paid. It's really simple and straightforward, really transactional, but you probably cannot make much doing it. So how can you get out of selling output and transition to selling outcomes? There are two main things, two levers that you need to use. The first lever is capability. The ability, your ability to actually deliver results for the client. This is your expertise, experience, and deep understanding of the client's business. It builds over time. It takes years and there are probably no shortcuts to it. Without it, selling outcome is impossible. Well, you can sell, but you cannot deliver. You cannot build a business on false promises. In a career, it's exactly the same. The employee who works through a task list just does the task is easily replaceable, even if the task is done good. But an employee who sees problems, identifies problems, and solves problems and owns the outcome is a much more well-paid one, and also the one who is a lot harder to replace. The difference isn't in the number of hours you put in, it's where your attention goes, to the task or to the problem behind the task. Building up the capability is a long game and there are no shortcuts, but without it, the second lever does not work. However, I assume many of you watching already have the capability. You are already an expert. You know a lot about what you do and you can deliver the result. But many of the people who can deliver the result are still stuck selling output. This is where the second lever comes in. The second lever is positioning, how you package and sell what you do. Let me give you another example. Let's say your service is producing content for other businesses or for entrepreneurs, it doesn't really matter. You produce content, let's say short-form content, reels or shorts. Doesn't matter if you are doing the production yourself or if you're doing it through AI with AI avatar of the client. Let's say you're producing reels. The first scenario, when you're selling output, you may sell 30 videos a month, a video a day for, let's say, $50 a video or $1,500 a month, which is good money. If you can sign tens of clients, you can maintain that level, you can make a decent living on that, but there is a cap. You cannot really grow that business because you cannot sell it way higher than the market, because there are thousands of people who can do the same service, thousands of people who can do the same output, to film the reels, to edit the reels, and to post the reels or create them with AI. Output is quite easy. So if you're selling the reels at $50 an hour, probably there will be someone selling them at 45 and then at 40, and it's race to the bottom. You cannot compete on the price and build a winning business. But you are not doing these reels just for the sake of doing reels. You are probably generating some kind of outcome. When you are good, when you can deliver good results to the client, the result may be, the outcome may be views, new audience. As a result of that, new income and leads, new business, new revenue for the client. The outcome is you are helping the client grow, you are helping them make much more money if you are good enough. So if you're just selling the pieces of content, there is a clear ceiling, and also there is a race to the bottom because you will be competing on the price. But if you can deliver the actual result, the outcome, and if you're selling the outcome, you can charge much more for it. Let's say you're making the same 30 reels for the client a month, 1 reel a day. You bulk them up, of course, and then you post a reel a day. In the first scenario, in selling output, you sell them for 1,500 a month. And let's say the second scenario, your reels generate the client $100,000 a month in additional revenue. Can this cost 10,000 a month, 15,000 a month, 10 to 15% of what you made that client? Of course it can. And it can be structured so differently. You can have still some sort of a base fee, you can have some success fee, or you can just charge a lot more upfront, let's say 10 or 15,000 when you have the results to back your offer up. But first of all, you need to reposition your offer and stop selling the output, which is the pieces of content, and start selling the outcome, which is the transformation for the client, for their business, the actual result and the outcome that you can deliver. So what is actionable right now? What you can take away from this video and implement in your business today? When you're starting to work with the client, when you're starting the conversation, stop asking, what can we do for you? What can we offer you? What needs to be done? And start asking, what are the problems you're facing? Try to dig deeper into their business to help them refine their problem, and then offer the solution that creates a desired outcome. And when you identify the problem and work closely with the client to identify the problem, you can reframe your offer to match the desired outcome and sell the desired outcome and not the output of your services. And one last thing, everything I talked about is also how you protect yourself in the age of AI. AI made output cheap and fast. For those selling output, it's the end. You cannot compete with a tool that costs $19 a month and generates a lot of output and a good quality output. But for those selling the outcome, it's a gift. Now it's gold rush times. You can now deliver faster, better results with higher margins and process a lot more clients. The gap between you who sells the outcome and those who are still selling the output grows and will grow every day. And that gap is where you make the money.